Hi, David here. Recently I bought myself a 2017 iPad Pro 12.9 inch with the Apple keyboard and the pencil, and I really like them. They work really well for me. But like a lot of other people, I'm concerned because, again, Apple neglected any way of actually holding the pencil with the case. Unless you buy an aftermarket one, then basically you've got very little options. So today I thought I'd share with you how I solved it for myself. It should take about 30 minutes to make and cost about $2. Okay, we're making an elasticated loop. It's got a pocket for the pencil and also a side loop for the pencil for when you're actually using the iPad. It's good for people with right-handed and also for left-handed. And when the keyboard is folded behind the iPad, then you can still access it as well for easy access. So quite simple, only costs $2, only takes 30 minutes to create, but I found it very, very useful. Let's talk about the things we need. Let's start off with a sewing machine. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine, then cotton and needle is absolutely fine. That's how I made my first one. I use the machine for the one I'm going to show you today, but needle and cotton is absolutely fine. You just need perhaps a little bit more patience and good eyesight. In addition, of course, you've got the keyboard and pencil. Some elastic. This is 1 inch wide or 25mm wide non-roll elastic. It's about a metre. You can buy it from the haberdashery store for about $1.99 per metre, or in a packet like this, it was a little bit more expensive. But essentially 1 inch wide or 25mm wide is what you're looking for. Of course, we need a tape measure, so we can do some key measurements. We'll see a little bit more about that in the video. You can use a steel tape measure or a school ruler. It doesn't have to be a cloth tape like this. And of course, pins are going to be useful for us. Okay, let's get on with actually making the pencil holder. First thing we want to do is measure the width of the keyboard. This will tell us how big to make the keyboard loop. So this is actually a 12.9 inch iPad Pro, and so I'm going to measure that as being 305mm wide. But I want a bit of extra, so I add on an extra 30mm and add those together to make up 335mm. That'll give me enough elastic for the pencil loop and also for the loop for the keyboard. Next thing to do is actually measure out the elastic. So again, that measurement A is a total of 335mm. I fold it in half and put a pin through both. Now it's best to put it about 12mm or half an inch from the fold. That should be sufficient for the pencil. You can try the pencil in and adjust it as you see fit. And the magic of YouTube, here's the loop made with the sewing machine. Again, try the pencil in there. It should have a slightly tight fit. However, it should move around slightly, quite nicely. Now we're actually going to make the keyboard loop. So let's try it for size and get a bit of a feel about how this is actually going to work. Putting the short length of elastic around the back of the keyboard, place the pencil in and get a bit of a feel about how it's going to sit. As you can see, it's quite snug. The thing we want to do now is actually make sure it's nice and safe there and we have enough elastic. So in this stage, what we're going to do is actually now create the loop. So we stretch the elastic slightly to put a bit of tension on and put pins through both layers. Again, after you've done this one, just give it a try. And make sure it's nice and snug. There's a bit of give there, but not too much. Again, in the magic of YouTube, the hoop has been sewn up to form the loop that goes around the keyboard. So we now have two loops, the one for the pencil and the one that goes around the keyboard. And you'll see that we have a short end at the back there and a long tail that we're going to be using in a moment. Now we're going to cut off that short end. We don't need it anymore, and it'll be hidden when we actually create the pocket. So cut it as close as you care to the seam you've created to make the keyboard loop. You can see it's quite neat there and keeps it minimum and throw that piece. Now we need to actually determine how long the pocket needs to be, and this will vary depending on the size of your keyboard. For me, I placed it in the middle of the keyboard and measured both sides, made sure they were equal, and in this case, for me, on my 12.9 inch keyboard, the measurement from the tip to the edge was 65 millimeters, and from experience the pocket should be about 125 millimeters. So we add those two measurements together, we get a total of 190. That's going to be the length of the elastic that we're going to fold over. So now what we actually want to do is measure that length of 190 millimeters and again fold it over. The intent here is to actually create a bit of a hem on the end, so we pin it fairly close to the end. Now note how I've got the trimmed end of the keyboard loop on the upside, and we're folding over the length of elastic on the same upside. Measure again to make sure you have the correct length, and make sure you have everything straight. 3 lots of sewing now, the pencil loop, the keyboard loop, and the hem for the pocket. Turning it over, once again, the pencil loop about 12 millimeters, the keyboard loop, and the pocket hem. And you can see that this is the length of the pocket, the 65 millimeters plus 125 or 190 millimeters. So now we can actually get rid of the excess elastic. You can see I didn't end up with very much left after from the 1 meter that I actually bought. So 1 meter is just perfect for this. Snip, and we don't need that anymore. Okay, in the next step we're going to be making the pocket using this length of elastic. In the magic of YouTube, once again, we have made the pocket. Pencil loop is on the right hand side, the keyboard loop is in the middle. Now we've formed a pocket at the 65 millimeter mark from the edge by sewing it across and then down the two sides. And those two ends are 125 millimeters. And I've doubled up on the stitching at the ends to make sure it's nice and secure. And here we can actually see the pencil fitting into the pocket. It'll be a snug fit, but that's pretty good. And that's exactly what you want. Now seeing it a little bit more in action, pushing it into the pocket, you'll see there's a little bit of give there, but it comes out quite nicely, and then easily transfers when you're using the iPad into this pencil pocket. You'll also see that because we place the pencil in the middle of the keyboard, that when it's in there and we can turn over the iPad, we'll find that it actually sits nice and flat and it doesn't wobble too much. And there you go. There's your iPad pencil holder. Now of course this is good for right-handed users. And you'll see it holds the pencil in place quite nicely. It's good for left-handed as well. You put the loop in. Sometimes it will slide down a little bit. However, you can see it sits there quite nicely. And when the keyboard is up behind the iPad, it's still accessible. So it works in all 3 standard operating modes. So there you go. I hope you enjoy. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to press like if you liked what you saw here today. Subscribe to this channel, and your suggestions are welcome.